Impeachment Article 8 Unlawfully imposing tariffs, prepared by Free Speech for People. Unlawfully imposing tariffs in his conduct of the office of President of the United States, Donald John Trump, in violation of his constitutional oath faithfully to execute the office of President of the United States and, to the best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of his constitutional duty to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, has engaged in a corrupt course of conduct that undermines the economic security of the United States, in that Donald John Trump has imposed a series of harmful tariffs on countries across the world with abrupt effective dates and then has paused, modified, rescinded, reimposed, increased, or exempting goods from certain of these tariffs. In imposing Executive Order 14,193, February 1, 2025, imposing 25% tariff on most imports from Canada and 10% tariff on energy resources, Executive Order 14,194, February 1, 2025. Imposing 25% tariff on imports from Mexico, Executive Order 14,195, imposing additional 10% tariff on most imports from China, Executive Order 14,197, pausing implementation of Canadian tariff for 1 month, Executive Order 14,198, pausing implementation of Mexican tariff for 1 month, Executive Order 14,232, March 6, 2025, exempting goods covered by the U.S. Mexico-Canada Agreement, Executive Order 14,228, March 3, 2025, raising new tariffs on China to 20%, Executive Order 14,245, March 24, 2025, imposing 25% tariffs on goods imported from countries that import Venezuelan oil, Executive Order 14,257, April 2, 2025, raising new tariffs on China to 34%, imposing 10% universal tariffs on all U.S. trading partners, and imposing tariffs of up to 50% on almost 90 countries, Executive Order 14,259, April 8, 2025, raising new tariffs on China to 84%, Executive Order 14,266, April 9, 2025, raising new tariffs. These tariffs, Donald John Trump has usurped powers explicitly reserved to Congress pursuant to U.S. Constable Article 1, Section 8, abused the President's limited power under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEPA, and violated multiple trade agreements. The tariffs have undermined the United States economy, harmed the United States' relationship with important trading partners, led to retaliatory tariffs, had devastating effects on stock and bond markets, crippled the economic security of Americans and American businesses, and created significant risk of economic recession. Furthermore, Trump has used and is positioned to continue using tariffs to corruptly benefit his and his allies' financial interests and entrench his political power, including by exempting certain industries from tariffs, imposing punitive tariffs, and abruptly imposing, modifying, and pausing tariffs in a manner that enables market manipulation by government officials and allies who used their advanced knowledge of executive orders to obtain improper financial gain. In all of this, Donald John Trump has acted in a manner contrary to his trust as president and subversive of constitutional government, to the great prejudice of the cause of law and justice and to the manifest injury of the people of China to 125%. Pausing all other tariffs imposed by Executive Order 14,257 for 90 days. The United States. Wherefore Donald John Trump, by such conduct, warrants impeachment and trial, and removal from office.
Courts today said that Trump's tariffs were unconstitutional because he basically is usurping congressional power. But that also kind of needs to include Article 11, which is the improper use of war powers and emergency powers, that these emergencies do not exist, which are issues of a tyrant. Tyrants are always looking for opportunities to declare that there is some need for a war power issue to cut into your freedom, to cut into your rights. They are constantly looking to invent an emergency to be able to take advantage of that emergency, that claimed emergency, and take freedom from you. In this case, it's tariffs. Tariffs that are crushing businesses and other things, but it also has created, just like what the article shows, is that Trump has used these tariffs to be able to enrich himself. Indirectly, it's not yet quite legal, but you could almost say that he is a war profiteer, because he is utilizing war powers and he is using an emergency to create enrichments for himself, like creating, hotel projects and that sort of stuff, out of falsely saying that there is an emergency when there isn't an emergency, declaring that there is a war power when we haven't been invaded, all the while to try to be able to increase his own personal wealth and the wealth of his family and his connected people by falsely declaring that there are wars and that there are emergencies. The problem is we as Americans have been sold way too much on emergencies that are not emergencies. And it's kind of stupid, and it's bad. It's bad that our society has become almost adept to that everything, there's a war on drugs, there's a war on this, there's a war on that, there's a war on this. But yeah, the drug problem is a problem, yes. Is it something worthy of declaring war against massive drug cartels, maybe utilizing legal issues, but not actual war? That's a legal issue, an international issue, and needs to be limited only to, major global, drug cartels, whatever, that sort of thing. It's when that war impacts our personal freedoms. That's when we need to stand up. And that's why this amendment is so important. Because it isn't just that he is doing tariffs, it's that he is doing tariffs and generating personal wealth off of these tariffs by getting countries to give him money or getting people to give him money for exceptions for these tariffs, which should remove him from office. But the problem is that when it comes to Bevin's actions, there are specific economic harm and quantifiably measurable damages that everyone is suffering from. And if you don't believe me, just go to the store. So there are damages that people are suffering, individuals to companies and so forth. The way how you stop these things, and that's why I love Bevin's. That's why I love 18 U.S.C. 242. Because the American people do need to say that our constitutional freedoms mean things, and that the government, if it is going to take actions, which it can, there are needs for laws and things of that nature, obviously. There are needs for things. But the United States government should do everything it can to stay in the four walls of the Constitution. And if it steps out of them, it needs to be called. And if it starts taking actions that are tyrannical, like, for example, declaring that there are war powers needed for them to be able to take our freedoms from us when we are not at war, or that there are emergencies for them to take our freedom, that shouldn't happen. The way how we stop that is by realizing that it is the mid-level and the upper level of government that is doing this, and we should be taking action like impeachment and, if necessary, litigation. So let's get to work. Definitely support the impeachment efforts, because it's more than just impeachment. Impeachment coming from the people is more than just impeachment. It's an act of civil action, and it is an act to learn your power beyond just simply the one time they try to tell you that is the only power you have to vote, which that is not your only power. Thank you.